Hello. Hello. Education 200 and Education 581. Almost said 380. Apologies. Dr. Allen here. A couple things before I kind of start talking about the lessons and the requirements this week. One, thank you. Apologies. Thank you to all of you who actually showed up at the forum that took place on Thursday night. That would be, I'm looking at my calendar, September 23rd. Hopefully you pick some stuff up out of it. I'll make sure to have these exemptions in for you that I mentioned on the announcement page in an email this week. Also, I wanted to give a shout out because I recorded the other one before I finished them up. Philosophy statements were great. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at those. I did really take time and read them, and I made a few comments, but I just wanted to kind of see where everyone was coming from. One other thing, please don't forget that your 10 hours that are requirement. I think most everyone has checked in with me related to 10 hours. I'm going to throw the sign up sheet up probably in an email just one more time to make sure that everyone has listed what they're going to do. So I have a note on that. And don't forget, you got to do just 10 hours. And then you have to do the reaction paper and reflection that is listed on the syllabus, the details. Again, you have all semester to get all this done, but we are, as I'm looking at the calendar, we're creeping up on October. So it's one of those things. I should hopefully have grading caught up by the end of this weekend from last week's. I'm always running a week behind just because I usually wait till the due dates. So everything should be up before long. And I think these are the major announcements. I'm going to share my screen here and kind of tell you what we're going to talk about this week. If you look at the syllabus, you have a discussion that post this week, and I'm going to pull mine up. It's related to Common Core. I know you got a little bit of Common Core related content with the initial discussion post on Flipgrid. That was related to curriculum. I'm not going to get too bogged down talking about Common Core, but I have put some links up. I do want to make a few points about it, though. Let me just pull it up here. Common Core. I have put this up on the site, and let's see if it hotfully pulls up here quickly. Yes, Common Core, you don't hear as much about it anymore as probably 10 years ago. It was a hotbed topic actually in the Obama administration, and actually I mentioned it last week a little bit with the laws and policies that went through. But just to kind of give you just a quick synopsis again, Common Core was an attempt to basically unify the country's standards, at least somewhat, in terms of having everyone doing things of a similar nature. If you have a lot of questions about that, I'm going to put it on here, but here's the facts versus myths type site where it talks about, there were concerns about Common Core maybe being, if it was standardized, states would have to pull their standards down. I hate to say to the lowest common denominator, but that was what was used a lot. States that maybe weren't seen as being as rigorous or anything like that. That's not actually true. It was just trying to unify a lot of the states as far as having similar standards, expectations, skills, and such in different fields. A lot of times what you'll hear them called are college, career, and life type standards. And a lot of states have maintained those in there. And that's kind of what I want to kind of get into today. I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of Common Core itself. But if you look in West Virginia, and I'm just going to show you social studies because I'm patting myself on the chest here because that's what I taught and that's what I'm familiar with. You still see aspects of Common Core in our standards today. Some states did not adopted them. Some states did not adopt them. Some states have kind of integrated or modified them. We do have aspects of this little phrase here, college, career, and life in our standards. I'm going to pull up social studies standards in West Virginia. If you look at the West Virginia standards here, here's 5th grade. I taught middle school most of my teaching career, so I'm just going to show you what I'm familiar with. If you look here, it says all West Virginia teachers are responsible for classroom instruction that integrates content standards, foundational skills, literacy, learning skills, and technology tools. Students in grades 6 through 8, so this is the whole way through, they should get used to these skills. You'll address them each year. 6 through 8 will advance through a developmentally appropriate progression of standards. The following chart represents components of social studies that will develop in grades 6 through 8. And these, my friends, are basically different standards that have formed out of that college and career readiness. The whole standards, by and large, do that. but these are certain skills and functions within the field of social studies that we should be looking at, and they are rooted back in Common Core. Like I say, Common Core is just something that a lot of people, you'll do the readings, but a lot of people had a problem with because some states felt like they were losing control and the standards weren't up to their needs. Virginia would be an example. Virginia has very high standards, and I believe they did not end up adopting Common Core. But we're going to talk a little bit about international education today, which I'm going to jump into. A lot of nations, though, a lot of countries in Europe and such, other Western nations, they actually do have a unified curriculum, much stringent, more stringent than anything that Common Core was. So it's a debate. And like I say, you'll kind of talk about it with your flip grid, but it's basically, should we have a common set of standards at each state across the United States, or should each state be basically free to kind of operate as they will? I know that the actual thought of it with a lot of it is that states that if you move from one state, for example, if I'm living in West Virginia and I move out to Wyoming or someplace like that, there should be some uniformity into the skills that I've learned as a sixth grader or as a seventh grader from one state to the next. I think that was a lot of the hope. And it was also kind of having essential skills that might be more job ready. So that's on your readings this week. Please check them out. Check out the links. Common Core. It's something you'll hear. It's like I say, you don't hear it quite as much now, but it is still out there, and it does have a major influence on our standards. There's college, career ready type standards, West Virginia. I believe, let me go back to the front. I think that actual phrase is used. Oh, there it is. West Virginia College and Career Readiness Standards for Social Studies. There you go. So, and then you have them right here. But anyway, another thing, and I think this is actually kind of fun this week. I guess your idea of fun and my idea of fun might be two totally different things. But we're going to talk a little bit about international education. And I will say I'm probably going to focus more on one country. I don't know how much everyone keeps up with like educational techniques and policies. It's actually kind of interesting. And there's a nation that a lot of times is used as a buzzword. It's Finland. Finland is, if you don't know, is a small country up in that Scandinavian area. It's between Sweden and Russia. For a long time, they've always been seen as having the most progressive, and progressive, I mean like forward-thinking type of education system. And I guess you could even use in some ways a progressive type techniques, because I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Finland and Scandinavian countries, they usually have universal health care, universal education where you don't pay for college and things like that, but you're taxed at a very high rate. I don't know the Finnish rate. I thought it was somewhere between 50 and 60% tax rate. But the benefits of that are, you get your health care, you get education and such. I'm not here to debate that. But basically, Finnish schools do a lot of different techniques than we don't incorporate here in the United States or in other Western countries. So on the Ed Puzzle this week, I actually have a video that's posted that's related to Finland. And I will say this, it's the best one that I found. I don't know anyone's political leanings or anything like that. It was from a Michael Moore documentary. It's not really a political, it's just a 10-minute section. It just gives an overview of the Finland thing. I'm not here to condemn or endorse. I just want to give you the heads up in case you're wondering if that guy looks familiar. He can be controversial sometimes, but this is a pretty non-controversial clip. It gets into a lot of the things that Finland does is related to homework, standardized testing or lack of, how they do handle sports teams. There's usually no sports teams that are associated with Finnish schools and a lot of European schools. It's not to say they don't have sports and don't have clubs that they don't support in the community and such, but they kind of don't incorporate sports so much as part of the school. I'm not going to get into too much of that per se, right, as I'm mumbling here, but check out the video, answer the Ed Puzzle questions because they'll get into that. I do want to show you one thing, and I'm going to hop around on it. When we've done this class live, or I've done it live, I've been able to have someone who's went to Finnish schools come in and she does a presentation. She does an awesome job. I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint step by step, but I thought she's provided me the PowerPoint, and I thought I would just point out a few things as you're watching the video to kind of give you some things to pull back on. So let me pull this up. I'm going to go up here. there are some things, and by the way, I don't want this to say that our system is a terrible system or anything like that. We have different needs in the United States that they do not have in Finland. So, just be aware. And she did this while she was actually pursuing a graduate degree at Shenandoah University. So it's a local principal. So anywho, I just wanted to kind of share and just kind of point out some things. We're going to look at maybe what makes Finnish students different than US students, educators, the culture, society, how this might affect things. And can we pull some of these aspects of Finnish education out? I'm not going to hit the PowerPoint and just go I'm not going to read certain things about the school that she visited, but I just want to point out some of the things as far as the makeup of Finnish education. A few things that make Finland unique as you're watching this, and just think about this. And this is what I want you to think about when you're watching the video and just in general. Are these things that would work here or would they not work in the United States? For example, children do not start school until they're 7 years old. The idea being, they need that home environment. They need to get, more comfortable, maybe a little more maturity, so to speak, under their belts. That here would seem like a very late age. Isn't 7 years old? I'm trying to do the math. That's second grade here in the United States, I believe, correct? Kindergarten 5, first grade 6, second grade 7, by and large, I'm estimating. That's different. I feel like in the United States, we're actually going backwards. I mean, it used to be, there was no kindergarten. I think there's 1 or 2 counties or states that it's not required anymore. Pre-K is becoming more and more encouraged in a lot of states. And I've even seen some 3 and 2-year-old pre-K programs that are starting to become a part of counties. So, it's 7's a later age. That's a major difference. They also don't do standardized testing until students are 18 years old. So there's no standardized testing. They talk about that in the video you're gonna watch. I will say this, I've read a little bit on it. They do checkups and some summative type assessments. And sometimes they are what we would consider kind of tests, but they're not the standardized tests that we do each year in our school systems and use it so much as the barometer of how we're doing. Students usually receive 15 minutes of recess for every 45 minutes of instruction. Their school days are shorter, and the video again talks about this. All teachers must have a master's degree in their content area. Also, the field of teaching is also kind of held up a little higher in Finland. And that's, again, I don't want to get too political or anything like that, but I think when we think of like doctors and engineers and lawyers and things like that, that's kind of the level that teachers are usually seen at because they have to be well educated. All students receive free lunch, and teachers are trusted to make they have a lot of autonomy and instructional decisions. They do have actually a universal standard system, kind of connecting back to that Common Core type approach. Also, they don't have private schools in Finland. Well, let me rephrase that. They don't have a lot of private schools in Finland because they don't allow schools to charge for people to attend. So if someone can't start up school, say the tuition is going to be $5,000 a year or whatever the currency is, and students go there. That you can't do that. So as a result, a lot of the money is put into these public schools. Again, the video will talk a little bit about that. And teachers are given a lot of freedom as far as how they're going to approach the Common Core standards, so to speak, that they have in Finland. So that's some things that make Finland unique. I'm just going to kind of jump through here, and I'm not going to, again, read through everything word for word. This was the school that she actually visited. The school actually was a pretty diverse school. One thing that you'll hear people in the United States, not Finland, for, and I will admit they don't have it quite to the level that we have in the United States, is it's not as diverse. And sometimes that leads to like the things are a little more homogenous. And what I'm saying here is they're not always, let me make sure, I want to make sure I say this right. They're not always, they don't have to worry about making sure that they're being fair and addressing all the backgrounds of students that they're coming in. Not saying that they don't do it, not saying it's not important, but they want to just, there's not quite that mix of populations and points of view is probably how I want to say it. there's 19 different nationalities, like I say, at the school that she visited. So that's a pretty diverse school, but still just not to the level of the United States. Also, I think the economic disparity, the socioeconomics in a Finnish school are not going to be as large as they usually are in a school in the United States. Kind of mumbled through that a little bit, but just to kind of reiterate, the schools just don't have the diversity in terms of backgrounds and socioeconomic type backgrounds that we have in the United States. And some people say that gives them an advantage because there's not quite that difference in points of view. They do have special education courses, IEPs, things like that, like we do. They do address it a little bit. They have usually multiple special education classes, and they usually make sure that there's a lot of interaction and integration with other students when they're in there, a lot of collaborative teaching when they're doing special education type topics. They don't do formal paperwork quite to the level we do in the United States. It's not so much, it's not something to make you stand out. They just try to find ways to make students who may have special needs, kind of how can we make this work for them and within the normal classroom setting. Which I think we try to do here. We just do it in a different method. Not going to get down into the breakdown. There's some pictures of the school itself. They do have at-risk students, and what they mean by at-risk students who are in danger of maybe not graduating or passing classes or are struggling. They don't want anyone to technically drop out. What they do instead is they work on like different types of work explorations, like maybe job skills and things like that. And also the classes are much, much smaller than what we have in the United States, where, I did observations. That's one reason why I'm always a little behind on grading. Most of the classes I'm in, there's almost 30 students in there. They're not to that size in Finland, by and large. And there's some more, and you'll see this in the video, so I'm not going to get too bogged down on this, but there's a lot more skills. The days are shorter, they get these breaks, more things as far as just like normal day-to-day type things, more fun activities. I hate to say it that way, but maybe life skills type stuff. This is actually a high school in Finland, and you might say, wow, that looks pretty swanky. That looks like a college. And actually that is because that is sort of how it's run, where you come through your classes and you might sit down there and study, and there's no like bell schedule or anything like that. It's an atmosphere. I don't know if anyone hangs out at the Ramsden. It might be like that. You go down, hang out, go to your class. I mentioned this, but there's actually no sports teams that are associated with like secondary schools in Finland. And I believe in a lot of European schools. Again, that doesn't mean that they don't think sports are important and activities are important. They're set outside of the school setting. There's no connection, which I actually have that as a question on the Ed Puzzle. There's probably good things and bad things about it. I can think about, some people might look at it from a financial point of view. Some might think that it's a bad thing because of social points of view. Listen, I've thought about it back and forth, and I'm pretty open. I can see the pros and the cons all the way around on that issue, but kind of interested in what you all think. So that is on the Ed Puzzle. As you can see there, schedules instead of team plans. A lot of times high school students have a little bit of freedom too, and like when they come to class, maybe they have assignments and they might work with teams and such. So they do a lot of applied and self-evaluations. I'm sorry, I'm reading off of the small one. Let me hit it there. They do a lot of project-based learning, which is something we're trying to get to in the United States. It's still tricky, and I think we're still working on it. Social studies, that's a major thing that they're trying to stress. And again, my area, I kind of just focus on it a little bit. Do a lot of flipped learning. They're trying to start to do more and more of that, which I guess this was done before the pandemic. I guess that's becoming way more common here. As you can see, this is something I was talking about. That's Finland compared to the United States. And I kind of fumbled through it, but as you can see, I mean, it's not much larger. What is that? That's not even a quarter of the East Coast. So The United States is a much larger nation, so maybe some of the things that you're going to see in the video aren't going to work in the United States. But there are things that I think we can definitely incorporate as far as approaches and ideas. As you can see, Finnish students, they start at the age of 7, got to be in kindergarten by 6 in the United States, no rush to read before school. We definitely push the preschool programs of reading before school, play-based in Finland. You'll see a lot of that in the video. We've kind of focused on reading readiness, very short school days, especially for the younger students in Finland. I think we've gotten away from this. When I was in kindergarten, you were either AM or PM. Now, pretty much most places it's all day kindergarten. Longer school day, standardized testing usually begins around 3rd grade. In Finland, it pretty much starts to happen in 12th. And that's kind of just what I wanted to kind of just show you, except for the educator part here. Becoming a teacher in Finland, only 1 out of 10 teacher applicants will be accepted into a teacher education program in 8 Finnish universities. Primary school teachers are accepted in 2 phases. There's an exam score and then they're interviewed. So that's getting back to the whole thing I was talking about where teachers are kind of seen on a different level. Again, there's a lot of pluses and minuses to that. Universities are free in Finland, as opposed to the high cost of higher ed here in the United States. Again, that goes back to tax rates. You must attend university in Finland to be considered for a teaching position. And all teachers in Finland are required to have a master's degree. So those are just a few aspects. Hopefully I didn't bumble through too much, a little bit there. But I was going for that one take. Watch the video. There's a Flipgrid that is posted. Let me get this off of here. I'm going to pull the video back up, or the site back up here. The Common Core readings, if you're interested, are on there. But again, I talked about that a little bit last week, and I know even in the curriculum set, Common Core is not quite as hot topic, but really just what I want you to take away from Common Core is it's a universal set of standards that they are trying to get in the United States, and most states have adopted it, and it's kind of influenced all state standards, the college, career, and life readiness type things. So check out the reading. Actually, it is. I have my book right here, so I'm just going to read the page to you. Sorry, I'm going to let you go in a second, or you can hit stop, I guess. But it is Common Core. Can Common Core state standards be successful? And that's basically what they are. We've had them in place for a little while now here in West Virginia. So again, though, check out the articles, read that. And if you're in 581, if you're in 200, you don't really have to listen to this. But in 581, don't forget that there is a paper requirement in this class. It should be posted up on the 581 site. I'll re-forward that. I think I said I would do that last week, and I don't know if I did. I will make sure that I have it up if I haven't, if I didn't do it. So instead of listening to me bumble anymore, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit stop share. And I'm going to tell all of you all good work. Again, the philosophy statements were great. Flipgrids have been very thoughtful. Oh, one other thing. A lot of you, one of the classes, I think it might have been 581, but I could be wrong on that. If you catch that you don't have enough time on the Flipgrids to talk, that's probably something I didn't set right. I think I set the one Flipgrid at 1:30 one week. Everyone made the time thing, and that was on me. If you need more time, just fire me an email. Listen, there's a lot of, with these asynchronous classes, there's a lot of balls in the air with technology. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect, and there might have been 1 or 2 things I missed. So with all that being said, I hope everyone has a great week, and I will talk to you later.